What is the name for the following compound? CCl4. So first I need to figure out who C and Cl are. C is carbon and Cl is chlorine. These are both nonmetals, which means that this is a covalent compound, which means instead of finding charges and transferring them to subscripts, I need to figure out the prefix and that's it. So my subscript for carbon is an invisible 1. The prefix is mono, but I don't use it unless it's oxygen and in the second position. So all I have to do is just name C. So I just have to name carbon. And then for chlorine, I have a subscript of 4. So I need the prefix for 4, which is tetra. And then chlorine needs to change its suffix to "-ide. So my final name would be carbon tetrachloride. What is the name of the following compound? H2O. So first I need to figure out who these people are. H is hydrogen and O is oxygen. These are both nonmetals, which means that this is a covalent compound. So instead of finding charges, I am just going to name it with prefixes. The subscript for H is 2, so I need the prefix di. And then since hydrogen is in the first position, I don't change the suffix, so dihydrogen. And then oxygen's invisible subscript is 1. Oxygen is in the second position and it has a subscript of 1, so it gets to be very special and use the prefix mono. And oxygen needs to change its suffix to "-ide, so this is going to turn into monoxide. So dihydrogen monoxide is the correct name for that compound. What is the name for the following compound? C4H10. First I need to figure out who these people are. C is carbon and H is hydrogen. They are both nonmetals, which means that this is a covalent compound. So instead of finding charges, I am going to use prefixes. The prefix for carbon is 4, so I'm going to use the prefix tetra. Since carbon is in the first position, I do not change the suffix, so this would be tetracarbon. And then we have the subscript 10 for hydrogen, and the prefix for 10 is deca, or dec, and hydrogen needs to change its suffix to "-ide, so this would be deca, since hydrogen doesn't start with a vowel, and changing its suffix to "-ide would change that to hydride. So we have tetracarbon decahydride. What is the name of the following compound? SO2. So first I need to figure out who these people are. S is sulfur, O is oxygen. They are both nonmetals, which makes this a covalent compound. So now what I need to do is, instead of finding charges, use prefixes. Sulfur's subscript is 1, but it's not oxygen and it's not in second position, so I don't get to use the prefix mono, so I just get to say the name of the element. So S is going to be sulfur. And then the subscript for oxygen is 2, so I get to use the prefix for 2, which is di. And then oxygen needs to change its suffix to "-ide, so this is going to turn into dioxide. So sulfur dioxide is the correct name for that formula. What is the name for the following compound? P2F3. So first I need to figure out who these people are. P is phosphorus, F is fluorine. They are both nonmetals, which means that this is a covalent compound, and I am going to be using prefixes instead of finding charges. The subscript for P was 2, so I get to use the prefix di. And then since it's in the first position, I don't change the suffix, so this is just diphosphorus. And then the subscript for fluorine was 3, so I get to use the prefix tri. And then fluorine needs to change its suffix to "ide", so this turns to trifluoride, which would make the entire compound have the name diphosphorus trifluoride. What is the prefix for 6? The prefix for 6 is going to be hexa. What is the prefix for 5? The prefix for 5 is penta.